All right, ladies and gentlemen, as promised, we're going to get started with the march. And now the organizer, the person who's responsible for all of this, who had this crazy idea about 4 days ago, ladies and gentlemen, Heather Valentine.
Wow, thank you everyone so much for being here. Thank you for coming out and being here for this amazing event. Earlier this year, there were parents who got together who had been separated from their children, and they started to identify themselves by wearing a yellow bracelet on their left wrist. In solidarity with these parents and children, we should never be forced to endure the trauma of family separation. We wear yellow wristbands on June 14th and stand up to say that families belong together. At multiple Family Together events, participants will take place in a raised fist moment of silence. Please raise your hand if you have ever been separated from or lost a sibling. Okay, I'll try to scream. Okay. Yes, I guess we're going to have to get in tighter. There's a lot of room over here. Actually, yes, why don't we move in a little bit? So we have a lot of room down here.
Yeah, everybody come in more.
Thank you. Coming together as a community. Thank you, guys. I'll speak as loud as I can. So the first call was, please raise your fist if you have ever been separated from or lost a sibling. Please raise your fist if you have ever been separated from a grandparent. Please raise your fist if you have ever been separated from a friend, a spouse, or a lover. Please raise your fist if you have ever been separated from a parent. Please raise your fist if you have ever been separated from a child. Can all of the children please raise your fist? Can all of the fathers please raise your fist? And all of the mothers please raise your fist? So pretty much everyone please raise your fist. We raise our fists in solidarity with the families that have been torn apart systematically by this administration. Make no mistake, this is a new policy whose sole aim is to terrorize these families and use their children as a way of deterring others from seeking refuge at our borders. This is unacceptable, and I am calling that it must stop now. Good evening, buenas noches. My name is Heather Valentine. I'm going to read a little bit off of a script because I want to make sure I cover a couple things really quickly, and then we're going to get to some amazing speakers. Thank you again for taking the time out of your busy lives to be here for this extremely important event. And thank you so much to all the people here with me who gave of their time and resources. You know who you are. I thank you so much. Even though I am the lead organizer there, I couldn't have done it without so many people. Tonight, we gather in solidarity with people all across the country. There are over 60 of these rallies happening with Families Belong Together. Exactly, not bad for a short turnaround time. About a week and a half ago, I learned about what was happening with kids getting separated and being ripped apart from their parents at our nation's borders. When I first heard about the administration's zero tolerance policy, I was sickened and I was horrified. This policy started last May, and it mandates that all people who are seeking asylum at our borders, who are running away most of the time from violence, from all kinds of horrible situations, and they're being persecuted and prosecuted and treated like criminals. This is just terrible. This is cruel. They're being separated from their children. When you traumatize children as a deterrent to immigration, that is evil and that is inhumane. I think I call this policy a zero humanity policy. This is not the America that I am a part of. Or you guys either. This administration is racist. I am here as a person of privilege, and my voice isn't as important as the ones that you will hear tonight from people directly impacted. I am also here as a licensed mental health professional who works with adolescents and children. I have worked with children in the foster care system, and I know the trauma, depression, PTSD, and anxiety that this is having now and will continue to have on these very vulnerable children. When I looked to find out where I could go to rally or protest because I was so upset, I learned that no one had organized an event yet in San Jose. So I thought to myself, if not me, then who? This propelled me forward, and here we are today. Thank you for being here. I'm just one person. I also wanted to make sure that you guys had action items and feel empowered, because I know a lot of times I've been to rallies and it feels great and it feels so good and you're out here with people, but you want to do something about it. So we have handouts. We can make sure that you can get one before you leave. It has actionable items. If you don't get a handout, I'm going to post it on the Facebook event page so everyone can get them. It's a lot of contacting the right politicians and other things too, because we want this to not just be a gathering at a rally, but a movement, and I want you guys to feel empowered to do other things too. I reached out to U.S. Representative Zoe Lofgren, and she wanted to be here today with us but could not. I am very grateful that she has sent folks from her team, and as well as she provided me with a statement that she would like me to share with you right now. The Trump administration and Attorney General Jeff Sessions' so-called zero-tolerance policy of separating children from their parents at the border is immoral, cruel, and abusive to children. This is simply not the America I know. Tearing children from the arms of their parents is not an American value. The Trump administration means to take children from their parents in order to scare fleeing families from coming to America and to deter them from availing themselves of the ability to apply for asylum under our laws. People with a legitimate fear of persecution have a right under U.S. law to present their case for asylum. This is not a violation of immigration law. This is part of immigration law. The United States has been a beacon on freedom for a very long time, but the Trump administration's new policies are a stain on that legacy. Last week, a U.S. District Judge, a George W. Bush appointee, wrote that this policy of family separation, quote unquote, arbitrarily tears at the sacred bond between parent and child, and it's brutal, offensive, and fails to comport with traditional notions of fair play and decency. I've joined 140 of my Democratic colleagues in Congress to introduce a new resolution condemning this policy that tears children from their parents. This is a clear issue of right and wrong, and we all must oppose it as forcefully as possible. All right, and now I am pleased to pass over the mic to one of our first speakers. She is Vice Mayor Magdalena Carrasco. She has 10 years working with DFCS in Santa Clara County. She's been an advocate for foster youth, family, children, and an advocate with First Five. She's the first council member from East Side San Jose in 30 years, and I'm so happy to have her here.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'm going to actually ask my council colleague, Sergio Jimenez, to come up here and stand with me, because I know that we stand together when I say I cannot believe, just when we thought that he could go no lower, he continues to sink lower. And when you separate children from mothers and fathers when they come seeking help, and they're torn from their probably the only loving arms that they know, it's not only evil and inhumane, it's cruel.
Terrorism. It's a crime.
It's a crime against humanity. It's kidnapping.
It is. Yes.
And so I urge every Congress member and U.S. Senator who has ever felt the stirring of life within them, who has ever walked their own hallways in their own home, trying to console their own children because they were woken from a night terror, because their babies had colic, or maybe they had it within them to raise the child of someone else. Like my council colleague, our council colleague, Deb Davis, whom we may not always agree on everything. But last week when I submitted a memo to oppose what's happening, Deb Davis, who is a foster adopt mother, stood up and said, I know the trauma of children who have been separated from their biological parents, because my children are living with it. So for all of those parents who now serve in DC, I urge you, to stand up against this new policy, against this form of terrorism against our children. This is not the country that we believe in. This is not the country that we want to raise our children in. I ask and implore Ivanka, whisper in your father's ear. Plead with him to have compassion.
Too busy making money.
That's another conversation.
That's enough.
Sorry.
But nonetheless, as a mother of 4, I cannot imagine the pain that these families must be going through. We know of 1,500 children that have gone unaccounted for. And last month, another 650 children that were separated from their mothers and their fathers who were seeking asylum. Thank you for being here and standing up for children that you do not know. Thank you for standing up for children who have now been living through this nightmare. And thank you for standing up for these men and women who are now living with this pain. And I'm going to ask Councilmember Jimenez also to say a few words.
So I was actually just going to stay on the side and not say anything. I was actually out there. But you know, as I see everybody here, I certainly appreciate you for being here. You know, a little bit of my story is that my mom brought me here when I was 3 years old, me and my 6 siblings. We were immigrants. I didn't become a citizen until 2008. And so I think about some of what's happening and think that some of those occasions and things that have happened could have easily been my mother. Ripped away from, me ripped away from her. And so we're really in strange times, right? When we have kids being raped, being taken away from their mothers at their mother's breastfeeding, as we recently heard, right? Or a father who commits suicide after being taken away from his family. And for me, it's just like we're in this, it's often said, this bizarro world, right? We have an administration that easily is just scapegoating the least among us, right? The poor, the voiceless, the immigrants that are really just, all they're doing is seeking a better life for their families. And for me, it's quite frankly infuriating, right? Because all that's done under the guise of zero tolerance. And so, but what it makes me think about is that we should have zero tolerance about on some of the actions that are coming from Washington, right? We should have zero tolerance for a president who scapegoats the poor. And zero tolerance for a president who continues to use racist language, consistently using the dog whistle of bigotry to bring out the worst in people. And I'm here to tell you that the unfortunate reality is that that's in Washington, and certainly that's in other parts of the country, but the unfortunate reality is that it's here in our city. I've knocked on doors where people have turned me away because I was Latino, I was an immigrant. Or I was told to shave my goatee if I wanted to get the white vote. As crazy as that sounds, right? And so some of that exists here. And so the last thing I would tell you is that I think, if anything, this administration, it's horrible. As I often tell people, my 16-year-old son can do a better job than this president in the White House. It's horrible. And so I would implore you that if you haven't learned anything, if we haven't learned anything through this experience and being under this umbrella of tyranny, of racism that this administration really have brought to bear upon this country, is that elections matter, right? And so we should everyone here should have a zero tolerance to sitting at home and not voting. Because some of that is here in our valley. Everything matters. The folks that sit up there here in our local city making decisions, it matters who we elect. And I'm not up for re-election. I'm not saying this because you ain't going to be seeing my name on the ballot. But this is vitally important. So I would tell you that it's wonderful to come out, wonderful to hold up those signs. That's great. But carry that passion, carry that activity, carry that energy to every single damn election that takes place, because that's the only way we're going to change this country. So thank you so much for being here. I know we here at the city are going to do whatever we can to make sure that that the residents' voices are heard loud and clear in Washington. We've sued them time and again, and we're going to continue to do so, standing with our colleagues at Santa Clara County. So thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much. Is Teresa Gomez here? Teresa, I think I saw you earlier. There you are. Teresa is the field representative for Assemblyman Ash Kalra. Assemblyman Kalra is the first Indian American Assembly member in the California legislation. He was appointed chair of the Aging and Long-Term Care Committee and also sits on the Education, Judiciary, Labor and Employment, and Water, Parks, and Wildlife Committees. Teresa works as the Housing and Immigration Liaison for the 27th Assembly District.
Hi, so my name is Teresa, and I'm very honored to be here and at the same time very saddened to be here in this situation. But I think to sort of put this all into perspective, as Indigenous people, as people of color, this is not new to us. We've been suffering this pain and this trauma since the day, 1492, all right? So we know, and even a long time after that, Native children were put into boarding schools. They were beat out of their language. They cut their hair. They traumatized them. They humiliated them for being who they were. And so I think when we look at what's happening to these children, it is an example of what happens when you don't heal as a nation. We've never recognized what we have done. We've never said this was wrong, and we have to say this is wrong. We have to say no to abuse. So I'm so proud of each and every one of you. I'm so honored to see so much diversity here, to see that you stand with communities of color, because we know that this would not be happening if these were not children of color. We know that, and we have to acknowledge that. So thank you so much for everything that you're doing. Thank you, for bringing light, for being courageous during this administration. And I should probably bring up the assembly member because that's why I'm here. But he's an incredible leader. He's our champion, and he will do everything in his power to fight for all of us. And he's fighting for our children and our mothers. I know Vice Mayor Carrasco and Councilmember Jimenez are doing the same. So I'm proud of our leadership, but know that they're fighting, but we also have to fight. Because if we don't fight, they have so many things to worry about that this will not be a priority. And of course it is for our council members, but we need it to be a priority for every council member in this country, for every Congress member in this country. So thank you so much. That's all I have.
Thank you so much. I did also want to recognize Matt Fong from Councilman Chappie Jones' office, who wanted to be here but was not able to. Next, I would like to welcome Father John Pedigo. He is the Director of Advocacy and Community Engagement at Catholic Charities and a founding member of Rapid Response.
Good afternoon, everybody. We have to recognize that we are in one of the most difficult times. This is not a matter of policy. This is a disaster of literally biblical proportions. Biblical proportions. King Pharaoh tried to kill the immigrant community of Israel by destroying their children, drowning the sons. But out of that river rose a great leader, Moses, who eventually understood who he was, and he stood up to all the people that tried to kill him and erase his people. And then centuries later, when King Herod tried to destroy all the firstborn Hebrew children in Bethlehem because he feared the true Prince of love and hope and unity, forcing all at least in my Christian tradition, forcing Jesus and his parents to have to flee to Egypt. We have another type of dictator, another Pharaoh, another King Herod in our midst, trying to destroy entire civilizations based on racism, based on populism, nationalism, blind hatred of people of color, of misogyny, of elitism. This is what we're dealing with. So this is not simply a rally against politics. It is a rally for hope. It is a rally for our very survival, because if it is not, because today they're going after the immigrant children, but tomorrow I guarantee you they're going to go after your children. And we cannot wait until it happens. We must lament the reality of this separation. We must look at the face of a child who is torn from his mother's arms. We must look at the mother in her anguish. We must look at all the young people that are crowded like sardines in cages in an old Walmart. We must not turn our face from the unpleasantries of the reality of this administration. We must resist. We must stand, and we must march, and we must pray, and we must fight, and we cannot give up, because we're fighting for the very core of who we are. We're fighting for the very core of our country, of our faith, of our families, of every child, of every woman, of every father. And so we cannot be silent. We must take action. We must contact all of our elected officials to let them know that they cannot stand one more day. We must shut it down. And I say this directly to anyone that is employed and part of a deportation machine. If you are a parent, how can you kiss your child goodbye when you go to work, when you separate a child from that mother's arms? How can you continue to talk about love when all you're doing is participating in a machinery of hate? I call on all of you who work for ICE to stop going to work. I call anyone that participates in this to completely shut it down. And if our county who has put up with ICE, that we must have political leaders ready to lie down in front of the front door before they can let another ICE employee enter our jails, enter into our police department, enter into our city hall. We cannot tolerate, zero tolerance for dictatorship and zero tolerance for the idiocy of what's happening to us now. So I call on you in the name of God, in the name of the most divine, in the name of the most holy, to make this your personal prayer, to fight, to resist, and to never let this happen again. Amen. She said pray. 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 She said pray.
Thank you so much. Next, do I have Miguel Vasquez? Miguel Vasquez. Oh. Miguel. Don't worry. I promise we'll get to you. I promise. No, Miguel. Okay. That's all right. We have other great speakers as well. Ana Maria. Ana Maria? There you are. Ana Maria is a daughter of immigrants who arrived undocumented, and she is here to share some words with you as well.
Piali nochi mohuanti, kualitiotlak no ikniwan, nanotoka Ana Maria, Huanitlacatquinican, California, San Pampa, Naniewa, Mexcotlali. Hola familia, los estoy saludando en nuestro idioma náhuatl, que es un idioma indígena que es hablado desde el sur de este continente de Guatemala y El Salvador hasta arriba y a Canadá. Y les digo esto porque este idioma es prueba de que nosotros hemos estado aquí en este continente por miles de años. Somos indígenas de aquí. Hello everyone, my name is Ana Maria and I am greeting you in Nahuatl, which is our indigenous language. It's an indigenous language spoken down from El Salvador and Guatemala up until Canada, and I am telling you this because this language is evidence that we have been here. We are indigenous to this continent and we have been here for thousands of years. So, if we look at the history of this continent, prior to colonization, our ancestors used to go up and down through this entire continent before borders existed freely, along with other indigenous groups. This border that we have right now, it is not something natural. It is not something that is supposed to even exist. That is not something we believed in as indigenous people. A familia, les estoy contando que antes de que llegaran los conquistadores, nuestros antepasados, junto con otros grupos indígenas, pasaban por todo este continente, desde Canadá hasta Sudamérica, libremente, porque no creíamos en fronteras. Las fronteras no es algo natural. And as Teresa said, the practice of separating children from their families is something we have seen throughout the entire history of the United States. We saw it with the indigenous people in boarding schools, and their children were torn from their families and forced into re-education to lose their languages, to lose their identities. We saw it with the Chinese Exclusion Act, with the Japanese internment, and we can't let this keep happening. Sorry. For those of us who were born here, who have the privilege of being citizens, I am begging you to vote on behalf of our communities, of our undocumented communities. We have to be the ones with our vote to give them a voice. And for the allies here, you have no idea how much I appreciate your presence here. My own father was deported here while he was working in the fields of Turlock. And so you have no idea what this means to me. Coming from that background, I know those fears of being alone, being separated, and even I know that fear is alive in our community with us here. I know there are people who still, when they go home, they don't know if they will find our parents, and that is scary. So I'm so grateful for all of you that are here. Thank you from all my heart. Ikanochino yoloni michilit laskamati pampat initstokenikan. Namantiniya sampampa moneki tikilamiki tohuantin eliwei. Shimoketsaka no ikniwan shimoketsaka. Amowelis timochias. Tlenika newa wan amo tiyase. I ask you to repeat now with me in our indigenous language, amo tiyase, which means we will not leave. So, amo tiyase. Amo tiyase. Amo tiyase. Thank you.
That was awesome. Thank you. I would also like to welcome Tom Izu. He is a board volunteer for the Santa Clara Valley chapter of the ACLU of Northern California, and you're right behind me.
Good evening, everyone. Is everybody here? Can you say something? Say something. Yeah? Good. Okay. Can you imagine being a parent desperately seeking safety and refuge for your children from war or violence and arriving in this country only to see them forcibly taken from your arms, then not being told where they are, and wondering if you'll ever see them again? This is not imaginary. It's actually happening as I speak tonight. And it's even worse than that. The ACLU has uncovered thousands of pages of evidence documenting U.S. Customs and Border Protection officials abusing children. They have been threatening children with rape and death, depriving children of food and water, and holding them in freezing and unsanitary detention cells, shooting children with tasers and stun guns, punching a child in the head repeatedly, running over a 17-year-old with patrol vehicles, subjecting a 16-year-old girl to search in which they forcibly spread her legs and touched her genitals. My name is Tom Izu, and I'm a volunteer on the board of the Santa Clara Valley chapter of the ACLU of Northern California. I'm here to state unequivocally that separating families in this way is not only unconscionable, inhumane, but also a violation of U.S. law and international human rights law. These laws protect immigrants, refugees, and asylum seekers no matter where their country of origin is. This treatment is a form of torture.
It is. Terrorism. Terrorism is what it is.
All human beings deserve to be treated with dignity and respect, regardless of their refugee or immigration status. And children, especially our children, deserve the utmost protection. The ACLU filed this lawsuit in February to stop the latest terrible experiment in family separation after a woman from the Democratic Republic of Congo was separated from her 7-year-old daughter while trying to seek asylum in the U.S. This mother and child were detained separately at facilities 2,000 miles apart. Last week, the lawsuit was allowed to proceed. U.S. District Judge Dana M. Sabra in San Diego said in his ruling that the Trump administration's wrenching separation of families might violate the Constitution's guarantees of due process, and that, quote, such conduct, if true, as it is assumed to be on the present motion, is brutal, offensive, and fails to comport with traditional notions of fair play and decency, end quote. Terrorizing families and children has a long history in this country, especially in our communities of color. From slavery to the kidnapping of Native American children to assimilate them, to the Chinese Exclusion Act, which separated Chinese families, and to the repatriation of Mexican Americans in the 1930s, up to family separations caused by the Muslim ban. This is part of an old playbook. But we also know that this history teaches us that people have always fought back. We know right from wrong. We know this even when the administration claims they have the authority to commit such human rights violations. We must take a stand. The ACLU will continue to pursue justice for these families in court. But we, the people, also must pursue justice. In the voting booth, in defense of voting rights, through vigorous dissent and calling our representatives, by speaking out for fair policies and laws, and in the street. Please join us, and thank you all for being here.
Thank you so much. Next, I would like to invite up Kevin Gayden. He's currently with the Santa Cruz County Office of LGBTQ Affairs. He's a recent San Jose State grad and a local activist and avid advocate for the LGBTQ community, and also with undocumented rights.
Buenas tardes a todos. Me llena el corazón de mucho orgullo tener tanta comunidad. When I think of community, I think of people like you. When I think of being empowered, I think of people like you. In times of despair, I think of people like you. Thank you for being a part of my community. Thank you for showing support. Take a look around, look at the people that are right next to you. We come in different shades of colors. We come from different cultures, but at the end of the day, we're all human, and we all deserve the same respect that everybody else does. When we look at the political mind frame and the political mindset that is at hand currently, we are being tested. We are being asked to evaluate our convictions and our priorities. What is freedom if we don't have that freedom? Where do we stand when our freedom is taken away from us? We know that human rights are not a privilege that is conferred by a government or a tyrant. It is a human right that is an entitlement simply for being a human. Where do we stand if we don't have that? And yet we find ourselves in a time where history begins to repeat itself. Our communities are being torn apart. Our people are being incarcerated at an increasing rate that is unprecedented. And our children are now at the hands of a thirsty capitalistic government that chooses money over human rights of our children. Today, I stand as a product of a Mexicana immigrant that is a trailblazing woman, and because of her, I stand today with an ethical compass that is unchanged. I think of people like you, and because I think of community, I want to bring forth the voices of the LGBTQ. I want to bring forth the voices of my people in our community, because these are issues that are incredibly pressing in my community as well. The undocumented LGBTQ population, aside from being torn apart from our communities, aside from being incarcerated along with all the undocumented immigrants, also have to navigate the hate and the indifference that is established and branded upon us by homophobia, biphobia, and transphobia. That is not acceptable, and it cannot stand. The undocumented LGBTQ population constantly is ostracized at a higher capacity. They are mistreated and underserved in detention centers. And because of that reason, a lot of the times the last ending result is death, and that is unacceptable.
That's right.
The multiple stressors that are affecting our communities are lack of resources, instability, and what do? We rely on people like you. We rely on people to use their voices, to uplift each other, to continue supporting us, to have our backs, to fight for us. So with a lot of honesty, I'm asking you to keep at the forefront of the immigrant undocumented rights movement, LGBTQ rights. Continue being our sisters, our brothers, our community, and our empowerment. Because at the end of the day, equality is not granted by a government. It's granted by people like you. It's granted by the actions of love, compassion, and unity that each and every single one of you guys give us. I want to end by asking each and every single one of you guys to join me, raise your fists. This is in solidarity of all of those that have passed in detention centers, that have lost their lives. This is in solidarity of the children that are separated from their families. This is in solidarity of the parents that don't know where their children are right now, and they are detained in inhumane conditions. This is for you. Our community stands with you, and we send you love and healing, compassion, love, and all of the emotions and feelings that a community should always stand for. Muchísimas gracias. Power to the people, always and forever.
Thank you so much. I am also really grateful to introduce Ernesto Perez from the Rapid Responder Network. I think, Ernesto? I thought he was here. Well, that's okay. If he is here, please come up and we will definitely slate you in. So next I would like to go to some members from our community who wanted to speak as well. And I'd like to ask Omar Vasquez to please come up.
Hi everybody, my name is Omar Vasquez. I'm a member of Latino United for New America, an organization we also call it LUNA. We worked to push policies for immigrants, for working class people, but especially for undocumented immigrants. And in the last years, we felt like we've been moving forward on immigrant rights. But with Donald Trump, it's like we lost everything. And what he's trying to do is oppress the Latino community especially, and silence our voices, and send us to live in the shadows. But when I see this crowd right here, I feel hope. I feel hope that we are not alone. You guys are with us. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Most of the immigrants who come here, they're escaping from violence. They're escaping from misery. They risk their life to give their kids a better life, future. But what happened when they set a foot in this country and the first thing they see is their kids taken away from them? They lost the only hope they brought it here. So how is this president going to represent us when he's doing the lowest, lo más bajo que se puede haber hecho en este país? Ese bufón lo está haciendo. A lot of the people that we work with, they have 2 or 3 jobs. They work 6, 7 days a week. They don't even take vacation. 3, 4, 5, 7 years. They don't take vacation because they're always working. Every check, they pay taxes. Every single check, there's money taken away from their paycheck. And they pay taxes. And they put money in a lot of the programs, the benefits, Social Security, the benefits, medical, and a lot of programs that we all use. But this regime, this president, is calling us criminals, is calling us rapists. And right now, he is taking our kids away. And that's not acceptable. But I feel hope and I feel we're united, and together we can fight back, and we will fight back. I just want to say this to the parents, the father and the mother Latinas, that every time I go door knocking, inviting them to different events or trying to register to vote, what I find is they say, oh, my kid doesn't want to vote. They don't like to vote. Well, this has to be a zero tolerance for your kid. They have to vote. It has to be a zero tolerance. We have to change the direction of this country. And this November, if you are a Latino, Latina mother, you have to tell your kid, zero tolerance, you have to vote. So quiero decir a los padres y a las madres latinas que ya no pueden seguir permitiendo que sus hijos no voten. Tienen que decirles cero tolerancia. Ustedes tienen que votar y votar en contra de los regímenes de este presidente que está en la Casa Blanca. Let's vote this guy out. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Use your voice. Use your voice. Use your voice. Use your voice. Use your voice.
Right, I have to just say with voter turnout, I saw with this last primary that the rates for our county were about 25% of eligible voters voted, and that is not okay. We are not in a place in our world where that is going to be okay. So really, I want to echo that too. It's really important everyone gets out there and vote. Okay, Lourdes Barraza, I know you were. Oh, you're right there. Sorry. Come up. Yes, of course you can. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. What a great turnout. We are so happy to be able to be here. Today I am here not only as an immigrant defense organizer for Mujeres Unidas y Activas, but I'm also here as a mother and as a wife who has suffered the consequences of this administration. My husband Fernando, who is standing here with me now, was detained by ICE in October of 2017. And I fought a really, really hard fight against this system, against what happened to my husband. Luckily, as you can see, he is standing here with us now. And we are here because we will continue speaking out on this injustice. Gracias a todos los que están aquí. Les quiero que no estoy aquí solo como organizadora de la defensa del inmigrante, pero también como madre y como esposa, alguien que ha sufrido las consecuencias de esta administración, de esta separación de familias. Estoy aquí porque mi esposo Fernando fue detenido en octubre del 2017, pero con la ayuda de la comunidad, con todo lo que hicimos, pelear contra esta administración, contra este sistema, afortunadamente lo tengo a mi lado y afortunadamente estamos reunidos como familia, como debe de ser. Cuando nos pidieron como organización de Mujeres Unidas y Activas que si podíamos representar a nuestra organización levantando nuestra voz, yo me ofrecí luego, porque creo que esta oportunidad que tengo ahora, no nada más como parte de Mujeres Unidas y Activas, pero como alguien que fue afectada, es muy importante. When I was asked to speak, or when Mujeres Unidas y Activas was asked to join in the organization of this event, they asked who would like to speak. And I said I would do it, not only as an immigrant defense organizer that I am now, but also as the wife and the mother who has, a mother who has suffered the detention of a husband, the separation of my family. So that is why we are here. We are here and we will continue to be wherever we need to be, speaking out against this administration, against this cruelty of family separation. Because I was separated from my husband. My children were separated from their father. I cannot imagine the pain a child must feel. I know the pain my children felt, but my children knew where their father was. These children have no idea where their parents are. These parents have no idea where their children are. Fernando knew where we were, yet that didn't lessen his pain. I can only imagine the pain of these mothers, the pain of these fathers. It's unimaginable to me that this is what we are living now. I'm very ashamed that this is what our country has become. But I'm also very grateful that we still have the opportunity to raise our voices, to work together as a community, and to stay unified, to stay strong, and to keep fighting. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
All right, how's everybody feeling? How are you doing? Thank you guys, come on up. Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
All right, I am really happy to ask our last presenter, our formal presenter, Gil Villagrán. Did I say that right?
Muy bien. Gilberto Villagrán, yo soy inmigrante de México. Llegué cuando tenía 5 años. I'm an immigrant from Mexico. I came when I was 5 years old. I grew up on 7th Street in my uncle's garage. And eventually, I had a father that worked very hard, worked 2 jobs all his life, and he raised 5 children, and then he adopted my little brother, who is now a retired colonel in the Air Force. But the idea of taking kids from their parents to get the word out there that don't go to the United States because they'll take your kids, that came from General John Kelly, who got his start in Vietnam as a Marine killing peasants. And after killed peasants there, he went to the War College and became eventually a 4-star general. He was Trump's first Secretary of Homeland Security. He only did that for a little while, and he brought his girlfriend, that blonde woman from, she's from, Danish or something. Nothing wrong with Danish, but I like Danish, and I've been to Denmark. But the point is that they think that this is going to get back to Central America. Now, we have to ask, why are people fleeing Central America? Our government has destabilized every single fucking country in Central America, beginning with Guatemala, where they finally elected a president, and the FDR administration, FDR was a good guy in other ways, but they destabilized, fomented a coup, and Guatemala went into dictatorship ever since that time. El Salvador, igual. What's next? Honduras, oh my God, even worse, and that's where a lot of people are fleeing from right now. So we have trained death squads in every country in Latin America and other parts of the world, and we have to realize that these families are not fleeing their country because they want to live in the U.S. They love their country. Those countries, if you've ever traveled in Central America, they're beautiful. I mean, they're gardens of Eden, but they've become gardens of hell. And we have done that. Our government has done that. So on the one hand, we destroy their governments, we destroy their countries, we train their death squads, and then when they come here fleeing rape and violence, they are met at the border and they take their kids. Now, let me say something about that. I am a retired social worker. I did social work for Santa Clara County for 40 years. And I know it's controversial that sometimes social workers take kids from their parents. But we only do it when there's proof that the kids have to be taken from their parents. And even when we take kids from their parents, the goal is to reunite them almost right away. And we often do that. And Magdalena Carrasco can tell you about that, because she and I work together at Social Services. But the goal is to keep kids with their parents where they need to be. They need to be with their kids. Parents need their kids need their parents. And we have to realize that our government is fucking up the world with our military and our policies, and now we're doing it here. So thank you.
Thank you so much. All right. Thank you, everyone. This has been so many great speakers. Let's do a couple more chants. We want people to hear us. I know I see some people kind of by the street, maybe with their signs. How about this one? The people united will never be divided. 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 Even better. Okay, guys, so I know I want to go over a couple of the action items because that is something that I felt was really important. So I know there's papers going around, and again, we will put this on the event page later so that you can all have access to it. But I did want to go over a couple of them with everyone. One of the biggest things is speaking up. Call, email, resist bot. We need to speak up. There are a lot of bills right now, and we need to contact our politicians and let them know what's important to us. Specifically with Congress, let Senators Feinstein and Harris know that you support the legislation that they are working on and tell your representative your views. 5 calls will give you a script and a phone number. There's a website that you can find this. For the Department of Homeland Security, tell DHS Secretary Nielsen to abandon the cruel practice of separating families seeking protection at our borders. Children belong with their parents, not locked up in detention centers. We have their email address and the phone number. Call the Department of Justice. They have a comment line, 202-353-1555, and tell our Attorney General Jeff Sessions not to restrict access to asylum for vulnerable people fleeing domestic and gang violence. Speak out. You guys, please continue to speak out. Sign petitions when you see them. Follow up. Share what you do on social media. You know, sometimes people will say, oh, sharing something on social media doesn't really help. Honestly, what I think is, I think it helps, but you have to do other things too. But share this today, a lot was brought on by social media. I don't want to downplay, the help I got and all the people that have helped me reach out to people, but a lot of this was through social media. I did so much of this, through Facebook and you guys sharing and other people sharing. So it is important to continue to do that. The ACLU has a petition right now on separating families, and so does the Women's March. They have one with Action Network of a petition to end family separation. So please, go home tonight or right now on your phones, whatever you want, sign these and tell other people. Post that you did it. Tell them that you need to do it too. Think of all of you that are here. If you each tell 1 or 2 or 3 people, it's going to just multiply. Same thing with voting. I think my numbers earlier were wrong, but still, it was a little low. Tell everyone to vote, register to vote. If you just Google the voter registrar's office, you can do it online. It's very easy. If you want to give financial support, services, immigration rights, and education networks with Siren, they're local. They donate to directly support free legal services, advocacy work for more just laws, and leadership training for community leaders in the Bay Area. The Refugee and Immigrant Center for Education and Legal Services. They're at the Texas border. Donate to the Bond Fund to help families reunite. And Act Blue. Donate to 8 organizations working to protect kids separated from their families. Human Rights First, We Belong Together, Asylum Seeker Advocacy Project. Women's Refugee Commission, American Civil Liberties Union, United We Dream Action, La Union del Pueblo Entero, and Kids in Need of Defense, KIND. And also learn, educate yourself. It's okay. I remember when I first learned about all this and I saw, first this was called the Missing Children. This event was actually first called Where Are the Children? And then we learned that some of that information was a little bit misconstrued. It's still very important, but please educate yourself. There's a link on here where you can find up-to-date information on this issue. So please, if you just take 1, 2, 3, or all of those, it will make a difference, and pass it on. As I was talking to people, not everybody knows about this. And sometimes I think people do because I'm so passionate, but that doesn't necessarily mean so. So yes, thank you. The people united will never be divided. 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 The people united will never be divided.
Let's try this in Spanish now. Familias unidas, no divididas. Familias unidas, no divididas. Familias unidas, no divididas. Familias unidas, no divididas. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. ¡Woo!
Thank you for that. So I did say that I would open things up if anyone in the community wanted to share. So, thank you. So what I would ask is, so we can try to have some organization, is if you do want to speak, we can give people about a minute to talk, and I'd ask that you come up kind of right over here. So maybe we could clear a little path for people who want to come up, because I do want to open this. This is about you and your voices. So please, if you want to say something or address the crowd, please come up.
I just wanted to give a shout out. I have a friend who is an immigration lawyer. The American Immigration Lawyer Association is having their national conference in San Francisco right now. They are working tirelessly. They're doing pro bono work. They are training other lawyers to do this work. They're engaging with the community. And the stories that they're telling are stories of desperation. These people are fleeing for their lives, and we are making things worse for them. And we as a country are so much better than this. So heroes are everywhere among us. The immigration lawyers are some of those heroes. Give them your support, because they are fighting this battle every day, and it's not an easy fight, but they are trying to keep going.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right.
I'm between my job and I have to get back there very soon. But I have worked with children a long time in my career as a clinical social worker on behalf of children who are traumatized. And I will say that this is one of the worst things I have ever seen in my life. I'm 77 in this country, where children are being separated from their parents. This is a long-standing impact that will affect children for the rest of their lives. It is a trauma that they will have in their souls and will have to deal with for many, many years to come. And we are responsible. I say, not in my name and not in yours.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
Hi, my name is Erica, and I'm sad that I have to be here today, but glad to be here with all of you protesting. I wanted to give a resource to all of you, Americans of Conscience checklist, if you don't know it. It's a great checklist, a weekly checklist that comes out, and it's across all party lines. So if you have family members or people that don't like resistance work or Democrat work or whatever, this checklist gets in there, gives quick actionable items, good news to let leaders know we're grateful for the work that they're doing, as well as protesting and getting out there to help against this work that's going on with ICE. So check them out, Americans of Conscience checklist. Thank you.
So hi, I'm Kristen Rivers, San Jose person. I wanted to just come up for a second to offer my I'm super into genealogy, which is like tracing your family tree. And I discovered my great-grandparents were married in St. Joseph's Cathedral in 1904, downtown San Jose. And there are no papers for my grandma. None. Okay? So this is really just a matter of generation. This is not a simple situation. Every single person deserves the right to stay with their children. I'm a mother. I can't imagine being separated from my children. And speaking of my children and voting, I just want to offer, I called and texted my daughter 8 times on election day. She is 19. She thinks I'm the most annoying mother in the world, and I am fine with that. Okay? Please vote. And I just wanted to say one last thing, which is thank you, Heather. Thank you so much.
Hello everybody, I was asked to speak on behalf of the Santa Clara County Green Party. My name is Jake Tonkel. We heard a lot of great things from all the speakers today. I want to thank Heather and everyone that helped organize this. It's awesome to be out here in support of the families that are struggling with immigration. We heard a lot about the administration that's currently in power. We heard a lot about the United States historical context of white supremacy, capitalism, patriarchy, and I just want to make sure we hit those 3 words really hard. Between 2005 and 2015, 2.5 million people were deported from this country. There were hunger strikes in prisons in Texas by women that are trying to protect their children. That was in 2014. The United States government in 2016 paid $10 million to the Mexican government in order to stop people from reaching our borders. This is not something that just happened today. Not something that just happened this week. This is a long line of 300 years of patriarchy and white supremacy. If you guys can go out, look at where your banks put their money. There are prisons that are making money off of immigration detention. Your bank might be funding it, which means your savings is funding it. There are a lot of people that say, well, a green investment portfolio or a portfolio with human rights does not make as much return. This is about sacrificing for our community, and if we can do it with our money and our bodies and our time, then we can protect everyone. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Donna Wallach. I live here in San Jose. When I was about 3 years old or so, myself and my twin sister were taken from our mother for a short period of time. I don't remember it exactly, but I still remember her being gone. And I'm now 67 years old. But I was returned to my mother. I just want to say that what is going on right now, it's not just mean, it's not just cruel, it's not just inhumane. It is terrorism, it is a crime against humanity. And we need to hold everybody in this administration, all the ICE agents and everybody else who is participating with these crimes, hold them responsible and accountable, and they all need to be put on trial for the crimes that they are committing. The people who are leaving their homes, their homelands, their culture, their families, their friends, their lives behind are doing it because of the horrible, rotten policies that the United States government has over all of South America, Latin America, all over the world. That's why people are leaving their homes, not because they want to come here and take jobs away.
I just want to say real quick, thanks everyone for showing up. I'm the fortunate person who can call himself Heather's husband. I just wanted to tell everyone, do not lose hope. With authoritarian regimes like this, count on this people's fatigue and losing hope. Do not lose hope. Inspire 1 or 2 other people around you that have never been politically active. It makes a huge difference. To all the brothers and sisters here, different backgrounds, I'm privileged as Heather is. We are here for you. I know sometimes the media may not make it look that way, but you are not alone. Thank you.
Hi there. I taught U.S. history in East San Jose for 36 years. In fact, I taught a Carrasco in my classroom. This was a long time ago. This was part of the curriculum that we taught It was written by a minister who was pro-Nazi, and he wrote this poem, and I'm going to have us substitute a different word into it. He wrote, "First they came for the socialist, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist." Let's put in, "First they came for the immigrants, and I did not speak out because I was not an immigrant. Then they came for the unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist." We could substitute the LGBTQ. Next sentence, "Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew." We could substitute, "Then they came for the children, and I was not a child, so I did not speak out." The last sentence, "Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me." And that's what this is about.
Hi guys, my name is Karina. I'm an election board official in Santa Cruz County, and I just want to make an announcement that in the state of California, as of 2018, you can register to vote on election day at your polling place. So if you have young people in your families, and most of you I assume do, who you think will vote the way we want them to, force them to the polling place on election day. They can do it there. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Peter. I am with Indivisible SF in San Francisco. There are a couple of bills. I know Heather mentioned calling your senators. There's one in particular. There's the Keeping Families Together Act. That one is by Senator Feinstein. It has 30-something co-sponsors. Definitely call them up, ask them to support that. There's also another bill called the Dunn Act, D-O-N-E, Dunn. It is in both the House and the Senate. There's a version in each. Call up your representative, call up your senators. The Senate version is sponsored by Harris, but it has no co-sponsors yet. Call your members of Congress, ask them to support these bills. Thank you.
Oops, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to trick people. Here you go.
Hi, I'm Carl. As a recently departed friend of mine like to say, you know what? If you weren't here to tie up the goddamn Mayflower, you're an immigrant. This administration, and in particular Mr. Trump, I will not sully the dignity of the office of the President of the United States by calling him the President. He has committed acts that are against the law and the spirit of the law of the Constitution of the United States, and he needs to be impeached. Thank you.
The injustices that we have witnessed are not ones that we should tolerate. Because it's wrong that kids are being separated from their parents. It's wrong that we have to witness more and more children being ripped from their arms. And I just want to say that our activism is what's going to deter these actions from continue to happen. We need political and change now. We need legislative change. And until we get up and we start fighting, until then we will see more of this happen, more injustice go on. So thank you for being out here, and thank you for supporting the kids.
Hi, everybody. So, you know, ever since Election Day of 2016, I've been kind of low-key ticked off. You know, there's just so many things happening that are against the conscience. And then, well, the thing that got me the maddest today, out of many things, was Jeff Sessions, when asked to justify what he was doing, they're pretending that this is the law, that they're just carrying out what the law says. Well, that's a complete lie. And he said, this is what pissed me off, he said, I'd like to quote the book of Romans. The book of Romans says that it's good to follow the government because the government is ordained by God, or something like that. That's complete bull. And by using the Bible, oh, and then Sarah Sanders said, it's biblical to obey the law. I'm sorry. They're trying to hide their cruelty behind religion so that they can, and I'm not trying to be anti-religious here, but they're trying to use religion as the cloak for their cruelty to get people to sit down, shut up, and not say anything. And I certainly hope that from what we see here today, nobody's buying it.
Oops, watch out. I totally forgot one thing I just was supposed to tell everyone. We are supposed to use the hashtag families belong together, or the hashtag familias unidas no dividas when we post things. So please, as you're posting, or if you already did, go back and add it, because since this is a national movement, we want all of that. So on any of the social media postings that you use, please use those hashtags. Thank you. Okay, sorry.
Hello, I apologize for being very short. Go short people! I'll be quick. My name is Kay, and I am a dropout from Harvard University who moved to Silicon Valley to learn more about communications. I'm sure, as you've all seen this morning, certain questions ran into my head when I saw Twitter. I thought, oh my goodness, why does racism and why does hatred exist with hate speech that we see on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter? And we have to remember that, unfortunately, a lot of racist people come from a vicious cycle where their grandparents and their parents taught them to be racist to reinforce social hierarchy roles. And unfortunately, there's so much information and knowledge in our world, but never enough wisdom. And so instead of building barriers, we have to build bridges, in that, yes, even if you are a Democrat, we have to be fair to conservative Republicans who people believe that building a wall is the answer, because we are human beings. Racist people, I want to say a quick quote that probably a lot of people know. No one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin, or his background, or his religion. People must learn to hate. And if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love. For love comes more naturally to the human heart. That was Nelson Mandela. And so I encourage you, as someone who's studying communications, if anyone wants to talk to me afterwards, that while you're on your own social media, use words, no matter how much hate speech you get from maggots, from racists. Show them that you are human and that we must teach love. Always love. Love is the answer. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. My name is Citlal Mina from the Barrio Defense Committee, and I wanted to announce to you, some of you have seen me collecting signatures for Miguel Araujo. Miguel Araujo has been an activist for about 40 years that I know of, and he's been, on the forefront in defense of undocumented people for a long, long time. And he was also very much involved with the issue of the driver's license. Well, now he is detained, and he's detained for accusations by the Mexican government to that his own lawyer discovered that it was a lie, but the Mexican government had to call the Interpol, accusing him of an assassination, which didn't happen. Why? Because Miguel Araujo was very critical, not only of this government that has been very unjust towards our community, but also of the Mexican government that has been brutal with our people, that works very closely with the narco, the cartels, and so he was very critical. They're the ones that initiated it. And so the INS had to go after him and detained him. And he's been there since December of last year. So we're asking people if you can, you all can sign this petition that we have here, because he's having a bond hearing on June 26th. And just a bond hearing so that he can fight his case. Right now we see that the U.S. government, the INS, are going after activists, people that are organizing in the community. They have to stop, this effort of us, defending ourselves, working people, and and people that have been here for a long, long time, as workers, as people that have contributed to this economy. So we're asking for your support. We're also having a forum on Migra Terror, because they're terrorizing our communities all over California, all over the country. And so we're having a forum on the 30th of June at the Centro Aztlán Chicomostoc, which is 47 East William Street. If you wish to come, June 30th. I have the flyers for you all. Thank you very much.
I just want to add something. When we're calling our senators to complain about the ripping of the children away from their families, we also want to ask them to please reject the decision of our Attorney General when he took us back in a time when he said domestic violence and rape are a private matter. So we want to remind them that we stand with immigrant survivors as well, and that domestic violence is not a private matter, and we will stand with the immigrant survivors. So we can add that onto our list of inhumane policies. Thank you.
How's everybody doing? All right. You guys are ready to go home, have dinner. So my name is Bruce Huynh. I am a high school teacher and public school teacher in San Jose. It's just a job. But I'm here today, as many different parts of myself. As an immigrant, as a son, and, as a teacher. What's happening right now is unacceptable. That's right. It's unacceptable. And, I'm also here as one of the founding members of Viet Unity, a South Bay progressive Vietnamese American organization here in San Jose. And we don't stand for this either. But I just wanna share a little bit, and I know that we have to leave. It's my birthday today too, so. But I just really love it to be here in good company, to know that in San Jose we don't stand for this. When it's unimaginable in the Vietnamese community, for example, what it looks like. Decades ago when we were coming here to the United States. Right. And imagine what would have happened if this was going on. How does that make you feel?
That's right. Angry.
Angry. Right. And that anger, I think, is what keeps me going. It's what keeps me going here on I don't know what day this is. It's a Thursday. It keeps me going here on my birthday. Just to be in good company with you, so that I don't stay at home and I don't feel upset and I don't just feel like I don't have a voice. So thank you guys for coming out here today, and we're gonna do this together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for coming out here. I do want to give one other plug. If you enjoy being around people who are progressive, who are doing things, I also want to give a plug because I'm also a member of Indivisible, and I attend meetings at Orchard City. There are lots of Indivisibles out there. It's a great place to be with like-minded people and to do things. We write postcards, we learn about important things, and so just to say that too, that if you enjoy activism and you enjoy being engaged like you are, obviously you are. I don't have to tell you that, you're here. It's another great community. So that's also something else I'd like to say. And just honestly, thank you guys for being here and for coming out for this important issue. That is what matters, is speaking up for these children and these families, and do not stop, and please don't give up. And if you want to hang out, you can hang out. Maybe if everyone goes out to the street, you can yell, do chants. I know people have been honking. Thank you so much.